The moment Daniel realized his exhausted CEO boss could no longer stand, the entire luxury office seemed to disappear around them. She had spent the whole night fighting to save the company, refusing food, ignoring the pain behind her eyes, and pretending she was strong enough to carry every burden alone. But when her knees finally gave way, Daniel caught her before she hit the floor. He was only her assistant, a single father who wore the same 2 shirts to work because every extra dollar went toward his little daughter, but that night, he became the one person she could trust. He carefully lifted her into his arms and carried her toward the bedroom, never imagining that by morning, she would wake up with her fingers tightly wrapped around his hand. Before we continue, if you believe kindness can change someone's life and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness for more heart-touching stories. Daniel had learned early that life did not always reward good people quickly. After his wife left when their daughter, Lily, was only 4, he became both mother and father to the little girl. His mornings began before sunrise, preparing breakfast and packing Lily's lunch before rushing to work. His evenings ended with homework, bedtime stories, and quiet calculations over unpaid bills. He never complained. At the company, he was known as dependable, patient, and almost invisible. His boss, Victoria Hale, was different. She was one of the youngest CEOs in the city, brilliant and fiercely determined, but behind her expensive suits and confident reputation was a woman who had forgotten how to rest. Her father had built the company and recently passed away, leaving her with a business worth billions and a board of directors waiting for her to fail. Daniel was one of the few people who noticed that Victoria's confidence was often just exhaustion wearing a beautiful disguise. For months, Daniel quietly helped her without asking for recognition. He left food on her desk when she forgot to eat. He reminded her about meetings when she had worked through the night. Once, when Lily became sick, Daniel almost lost his job because he had to leave early, but Victoria unexpectedly covered for him. She never mentioned it afterward. Their relationship remained professional, yet a quiet understanding grew between them. Then came the night everything changed. A major investor threatened to withdraw from the company, and Victoria spent hours trying to rescue the deal. The pressure became unbearable. By midnight, the office was nearly empty. Daniel found her sitting beside the window, staring at the city lights with trembling hands. She tried to stand when he approached, but her body simply gave up. Daniel caught her and realized she was burning with exhaustion. He carried her into her private bedroom, placed her gently beneath the blankets, and brought water to the bedside. He wanted to leave, but something stopped him. Victoria looked smaller without her usual confidence, almost like someone who had been carrying a mountain alone for far too long. Daniel sat beside the bed for a moment, making sure her breathing had steadied. Eventually, exhaustion pulled him into the chair beside her. He fell asleep with one hand resting near the edge of the mattress. Hours later, Victoria slowly opened her eyes. Sunlight poured through the enormous windows, turning the city gold. She noticed Daniel asleep beside her, his head tilted awkwardly against the chair. But what touched her most was the discovery that her hand was wrapped around his. She remembered almost nothing from the night before, but she remembered feeling safe. For the first time since her father's death, someone had cared for her without wanting something in return. Daniel woke when she moved, immediately embarrassed that he had fallen asleep there. But Victoria did not see an employee in that moment. She saw a tired father who had spent his life giving everything to people he loved and expecting nothing back. That morning, instead of returning to work as usual, she asked Daniel about Lily. He showed her a picture on his phone, and Victoria smiled when she saw the little girl holding a handmade drawing of her father. Something inside Victoria softened. The company crisis was still waiting, and the investor meeting remained only hours away. But this time, Victoria did not face it alone. Daniel helped organize the numbers, find the missing details, and prepare the presentation. His calm thinking helped expose a flaw in the investor's argument, saving the deal and protecting hundreds of employees from losing their jobs. When the board praised Victoria for her leadership, she made sure Daniel received credit. But the greatest change happened outside the boardroom. Victoria began visiting Lily, bringing books instead of expensive gifts. She discovered that Daniel's daughter did not need a billionaire, she simply needed someone willing to sit beside her and listen. Weeks passed, and Daniel's life slowly became lighter. Victoria offered him a promotion, but she also made sure his working hours allowed him to be present for Lily. She learned that success was not measured only by company profits, and Daniel learned that accepting kindness did not make him weak. Their connection grew carefully, honestly, and without rushing. Two people who had been hurt by life discovered that sometimes healing begins when someone simply stays. Months later, Daniel stood beside Victoria on the same balcony where she had once nearly collapsed beneath the weight of her responsibilities. Below them, the city moved endlessly, unaware of how much two wounded hearts had changed. Lily ran toward them carrying a drawing of three people holding hands beneath a bright yellow sun. Daniel looked at it and smiled. Victoria held the drawing close to her heart, realizing that the greatest rescue of her life had never been about saving a company. It had been about finally allowing someone to care for her. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes kindness still matters, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness. Your support helps these stories reach people who may need a little hope today. And before the story ends, comment, "Kindness always finds a way," if you believe one small act of compassion can completely change another person's life. Because sometimes the person who carries you when you are too exhausted to stand is not just helping you through one difficult night. Sometimes, without even knowing it, they are carrying you toward a completely different life.